Prerna, welcome back to the show. Excited to have you on again.
Thank you so much for inviting me back on. I am so excited to chat with you. It's always so much fun.
Well, and you are in good company, by the way, for folks who have been invited back on. It is you and Amy Porterfield. So
wow. Well, that is very good company to be in.
So that's amazing. And you were on episode 50 and now we're in the hundreds. So it was a perfect time to bring you back. And in that episode, we talked about some trends and what we're seeing in terms of selling with our courses. I wanted you back on and I've been Instagramming with you and saying, okay, time to talk trends. So first and foremost, let's just get to it. Tell us what's happening now. What's working now in terms of selling our courses?
Well, first and foremost, more so now than ever, openness and transparency in sales is, really, really working out well. Evergreen funnels that that don't just lean on checking a timer in the sequence or, claiming that a webinar's live and it obviously isn't. Those are definitely not working. Maybe in some niches, people are seeing success with it, but at least for the diverse range of niches that I write in, there is a huge, huge move towards just being very open about the fact that, hey, I'm doing this webinar and I'll be inviting you to join my program at the end of it. But even if you don't join, you will still get a lot out of this. I've had clients who've been very, I've made it a point to mention this on their opt-in page, of course, in discussion with them when we're over talking about a world strategy. So that's definitely one thing. The other, I have a client, in fact, for whom we put together an evergreen sales funnel for their high ticket program that does not lean on timers. It focuses on what's the other trend that I'm seeing, which is end user focused urgency instead of a timer generated urgency. So, and that also then ties into the other, I wouldn't even say this is a trend. I think this is more a move towards being more intentional in your communication with your prospects, is sales sequences that are tailored to where your customers or your prospects rather are in their journeys. So instead of just having a standard post-webinar sales sequence, which of course, if you're doing a webinar, makes total sense, but you can also go a step further with, say, for instance, something that we're doing is, for clients is inviting them to join your courses, say, once they've completed your, maybe a foundational or a starter course. So it's, instead of just continuously like having launches, you just have like a triggered cross-sell or a triggered upsell for existing students. Another one that I have worked on with clients is never-ending nurture sales sequences for your warm buyers. So for instance, especially works great if you have a course that's open evergreen. This one is where you send out value-packed newsletters. So it's not just like a sales sequence, but it's like a value-packed info-based newsletter where you also make it a point to include your courses. Like I just wrapped up writing 24 of these, which are going to go over 24 weeks for one of our clients, and it's been doing really, really well. Like the past ones that we've done have done really well. So another one that you could try, if you have, whether you even have like a course that's open, like a live launch course or an evergreen course, is referral only launches or affiliate only launches for colder audiences, because then they become warmer by the time they reach your, whether it's a workshop, challenge, whatever it is that you're getting them to opt into, or even your offer directly. Another one that is a pure student showcase focused sales sequence for non-buyers, especially if you're in a niche that's very saturated, very skeptical. These, so just kind of thinking out of the box with your sales sequences, as as a strategist and as a launch copywriter, that's something that I've, been encouraging our clients to like just go with, not just your standard webinar, post webinar, or video series, and then have the sales sequence. I mean, like those are great and those are tried and tested and those work out, but that doesn't mean that you just need to stop there. You need to look at how can you meet your audience where they are and help them make those decisions in a way that feels really good to them. So yeah, I would say the top 3 things you would want to focus on would be openness and transparency in your communication, leading on end user focused urgency instead of, just timers. And those are great. Again, like I'm saying, I'm not saying like don't use a timer. Yes, but you could definitely use one, but keep this the end user focused urgency in mind. Like what would really encourage them to make a decision? And then of course, sales sequences that are tailored to where that user is in their journey within your world.
Okay, amazing as always. Let's break it down one by one. Okay, so first let's talk about the openness and just being completely transparent and saying, hey, there's a sale coming, right? Like in a very elegant, and you are an incredible writer and you figure out how to do that elegantly. Why do you think that change has happened? Why do you think, because people have gotten more savvy about marketing tactics, like, or it's just the world we're in today? Like, what is it about?
It's a combination of things. Again, it depends on the industry and niche. And so, like I write for niches as diverse as astrology or cricket crafting. And then I also write in our usual conventional online marketing in sales niches, So it depends on, again, what niche you're in, like I was saying. So for instance, in a lot of the non-marketing niches, there's a lot of uncertainty and apprehension around what's happening in the world, and being open and transparent, not just about the fact that you would be selling to them, but also about the fact, like, just coming from a place of real service and telling them like, if you have a course that can give your audience the skills that they can lean on during these times of uncertainty, or you can give them tools to manage it and navigate it. Like, why wouldn't you want to talk about it? Yeah. Why wouldn't you want to share with someone? If you have a friend who's been through a rough time, right? Or who's just scared about what's coming up next, you would want to do a bit of research and look at resources that would help them. That's exactly what you want to do with your audience. Like, these are humans, these are people who have trusted you, invited you into their world, or at least their virtual world, their inboxes. I think the least that as course creators we can do is just help them make those decisions in a way that feels good. So just being open and transparent about the fact that, yes, I do have a course, but why I'm sharing it with you is because of this, and this, and not the usual, like, yeah. And most of the niches, in fact, that I write for are not your usual make more money niches, So right. It's easy to say, yeah, this would help you make, $1 million, but it's tougher when you're talking about something that may be considered a hobby, like I said, like stitching or crafting or making your own,
gardening. Gardening. Somebody who's doing DIY your garden. I had another person in my last accelerator. I had somebody who is design your dream room. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, I've written for interior designers as well, and someone who does succulent gardening, or so those niches, you need to be especially careful about the fact that your audience, not just attention, their budget is being pulled in like a million different directions. Why should they invest with you? So yeah, that's one of the big reasons is it's the world we're in. And also the shift is more towards, our audience is now, especially if you're in a marketing audience, they know like
they know what's coming. Yeah.
So just be upfront about it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, I love that. Let's unpack number 2 a little bit. Can you give me an example of being more focused on end user focused urgency?
Yeah, definitely. So I'll give you an example. Most recently, I wrote it's an evergreen sales funnel for a course that helps, show it designers set up their template shops. Now, it's open year round. The sales page is up on the site. We do have opt-in, and then like the sales sequence kick in. We've not used a single timer in that sequence, And the reason is because we are focusing on the urgency that our prospects are experiencing in their lives, their desire to move away from doing custom client projects to working on, to just kind of getting more freedom and not sacrificing their profitability. That is the urgency we want to look at. And that is the urgency we want to highlight. And that's what we've done is really, really focus on that and let them know upfront that, hey, this course is going to be available for you anytime you decide to join. You need to take a decision on whether or not this is the time that you would make the move from continuing to work on an endless number of client projects, which if that's what you want, that's great. But if you want, like my clients, if they wanted more time freedom, they wanted more white space, they wanted to be able to homeschool their kids, they wanted to be able, so if that's what you want and you don't want to be tied to deadlines and timelines, then here's your invitation. So you need to kind of identify what is it that is driving your audience to even check out what you have to offer. What's that internal drive? And then lean on that. And then, obviously you want to use all of the other persuasion mechanisms, cognitive biases, all of those things, you put them into play, things like your social proof, your relatability, you want to lean on all of that. But, the one thing you're just kind of really, really focusing on is the urgency that they're experiencing.
Okay, so what I'm hearing here is, the typical, I teach all the time, scarcity, urgency, right? You're giving them the deadline. In this case, there is no deadline but their own, right? And this is where
exactly
brilliant messaging comes in, and really spending the time to dig into that pain point and know why are they, like you said, what's their real motivation here? So it sounds like that's more important than ever, right? And this is why we need to spend time on messaging.
Yes. So important, messaging. And you know this, right? Like messaging has always been important when it comes to standing out, getting noticed, but now more so than ever, messaging is important because it works. It shows that you care about your audience. It's not just something you do because, well, it's cool or trendy or supposed to be done or whatever. It shows that you're willing to take out the time to get to know your audience better. You're willing to, know them well, and you aren't some, like how I think it was Adam Grant who said this, and think again, you're not a sage on the stage. You're someone who's with them and, or maybe a few steps ahead of them, but you get them. Yeah. And that's what good messaging does. Yeah.
And you are so good at this is an understatement of the world. Like, you are so good at messaging. Like, you are the best, right? And I know you have a very arduous, layered process. Like, is that why you're so damn good? Because of the stuff? Like, what is the magic potion, Prerna? Like, why are you so damn good?
Oh, well, first up, thank you so much. And yeah, I would say there's a lot of time that goes into this. So, yes, there's the usual research like interviews, and then you do the surveys and speaking to the client and the questionnaire. But then what I also love to do is actually take the course myself as a student and go through it and see how that kind of works out for me, because I'm like really new to this client's world. Sometimes it's happened, like in the case when I was working with Pat Flynn, I'd already done the course, so I knew that, but I could still lean on my past experiences. But even now, I love going through the courses. I love hanging out in their Facebook group and just kind of listening to the conversations and taking screenshots and keeping them with me. I love just kind of asking other people, like, okay, what are you, if you were to learn something like this, what would you do? Or is this even a priority? Or, so it's a lot of listening and a lot of just kind of leaning in and keeping an open mind to things that you may have not even considered. For example, like I'm currently working on a huge project in the homesteading niche. Now, this is something I've never considered. I've always been a city girl my entire life. And, the idea of not just making your own cheese or your own jams, which is, cute and very cottagecore, as my daughter would say, but it's it's more about, raising your own goats or chickens, or making your own cured meat. Like, this is like a whole other world for me. So there was a lot of learning that I had to do, a lot. And it's very exciting for me because I feel like that helps you keep an open mind. So that's super important. Whether you're a copywriter or a course creator, you need to keep an open mind to where your audience is coming from, because their reasons may be very different from your reasons.
Yes.
And that's where you need to kind of like go. And it's not always comfortable. It's not always even clear. Sometimes it takes a lot of digging, but just kind of spending the time there is super important. And that's something that not a lot of people do, because it's time consuming.
Yes.
Yeah. I've had prospects tell me like, oh, I need a sales page like yesterday. But here's the thing, I need at least 2 to 3 weeks, if not more, depending on the scope of the project, to really understand where I'm coming from, because where your audience is coming from, what's your, brand known for within your audience, in both, within your niche. And that takes time.
Absolutely. And sometimes we don't want to spend that time, right? Or we're eager or even anxious. Like, I've met some anxious potential course creators, right?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, slow down. So it's tough, but you've got to do the steps, and then just keep learning and I know you do this too, right? You're like, okay, what do they really need now? Right?
Exactly.
And checking, what is this, right? You're always asking your students, okay, what's next, right? Every time, sure every time before you launch it, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. What's next? And that also ties in with something that, I haven't seen a lot of this, like just going back to the conversation we're having about trends, but I want to see more of it. And I'm trying my best to do this with our clients, at least, is just making your program curriculum way more intentional, especially when it comes to bonuses. I just recently in my post,
Go ahead. What do you mean by that? Tell me what you mean, and I'll piggyback on you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just, I just posted like, so I did like this whole article, like with 25 different bonus ideas and, like jobs a bonus should do. And I posted on Facebook, like saying, like course creators, unfortunately, need to stop fluffing up their courses with bonuses that aren't relevant. I mean, we're selling transformation. We're selling the course. We're not selling a couch. These are not cushions, or pillows. So
right, it's not a yard sale, right? Like, oh, exactly. What do we have in the closet that we can dig out? And I think you and I have both seen that. Yes.
Yeah. So I feel like that's definitely something that more creators need to, like, when you just going back to what you were saying about thinking about what's next, your bonuses have a job to do. If you're including them, that needs to be intentional. So just be more intentional about your curriculum, about even like the bonuses. Don't just put it there because, well, you need a value stack, quote unquote, or you need, you need to show like a $10,000 value over there and then mark it down to 1,000. Please don't do that.
I love, we are so in alignment here and so in agreement. And trust me, I've seen enough course creators who say, well, I've got this other course sitting around. Let me just throw it in as a bonus. I'm like, this has nothing to do with your other course. And you just have to have it lying around. That is not a reason to position a bonus. And I think people are getting savvier about bonuses. I think people want access. I think people want customization. Last time you heard, we talked about customization. So I think more and more they're looking for that. And that's what we need to be aware of. That's what's next. That's what's here. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm glad you brought up the customization, the support, because that's another thing that a lot of students, prospective students, are now looking at in terms of their decision making, especially given the current scenario. When students don't want their education to be tied to an arbitrary timeline. So this whole, you get 6 months access to a program, or 12 months access, or even lifetime access for that matter. Who decides what's enough? Like, as a course creator, yes, you do have the autonomy and the expertise to be able to make that decision. But I feel you definitely need to lean on what you find during your research. Like if you find that your audience is, let's say, busy moms who are homeschooling their kids, who don't have a lot of time to get online, but they still want to learn.
Yep.
By capping their access at, say, 6 months or 12 months, you're making it really hard for them, because given the current scenario, and like given the last 2 years for that matter, a lot of people need to frequently, and this is something that everybody, like almost every course creator coach that I know of recommends as well, is like step away from social, step away from their laptop and just spend time outdoors. So like we're saying like, oh yeah, you will have 6 months to go through this, knowing that your audience is struggling with time makes little to no sense to me, just because it's the done thing, or just because it's popular, or just because it was recommended in a mastermind. You're the CEO of your business, and it's your responsibility to spend the time to know where your audience is coming from, and not just use like a cookie cutter blueprint on them. Like 4-step blueprints are great, don't get me wrong, like I lean on them all the time, but you need to be able to adapt them to suit your business and suit your audience. Yeah.
And that goes back to doing that research, right? And really figuring out what it's not just about the messaging, folks. It's about like how do they want it delivered, right? And what's the timeline and all that good stuff. And that's why we do that research.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Even things like, okay, and I know there's a case to be made for the fact that the customer isn't always right, or that sometimes people don't know what they want, what they need versus what they want, and all of those things. And which is where then your expertise comes in as, and what it in your vision as this creator, as this, or as the CEO of your business comes in. And that's why there needs to be a blend. And that's why, like on my calls with, at least with clients, I let them know that, hey, this is what we found. But at the end of the day, this is your business. I'm not going to push my findings on you just because, you may have your reasons. And if those make sense, then let's test it out.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. Okay, let's talk about the third piece, the sales sequence. And you mentioned before kind of moving away. So, we've all been taught and coached on like, okay, we do the webinar, you do the follow-up sales sequence, you do your video VSL, you do your video sales letter. And what I'm hearing is like an expansion of that, or kind of just like you're saying that maybe it's not like a program open for 6 months, you open it up, like it's almost like a more flexible sequence. Like what, and give me an example of that too, Prerna, if you would. Like actually you gave me one with the newsletter, so can you give me another example? And like, and with that newsletter, you said you did 20, are they doing a weekly newsletter, a month, bi-weekly, or?
Yeah, so they're doing a weekly one. So this would, we're going to start with 24. So that's like 24 weeks. And then we'll do another batch of 24. So it just kind of covers them. We'll see what's working. There's always potential for repurposing. So, so that's the strategy, which is why it's never ending. And, they could just,
And what kind of promotion is inside that newsletter for the course or for the offer?
Right. So essentially so I'll kind of just give you a few examples for like pretty much all of them. So the sales sequences tailored to where your customers are in their journey came about from the fact that, yes, we do need the basic foundational piece, but then we need a bigger, wider e-course system, which is something that I talk about in Ready to Sell that you generously, were a guest expert for as well, is, you want to build an e-course system that isn't just a linear funnel, because your customers are never moving in a linear fashion, Yeah, exactly. So just as an example, the never-ending nurture sales sequences essentially are emails that you would send out on a weekly basis. Chances are you're probably already doing that as a course creator to your, non-students and on your email list. The idea here, especially if you have an evergreen one, or even if you have a course that you open and open close launches, like a live launch, you could still use that by getting people to opt in to your waitlist, or opt into if you have like a sales a course specific opt-in, which I call like which is going to be a launch trigger. So, but what you would want to do in those newsletters, like I'll just give you like a quick, almost like a hierarchy, is you want to have helpful content. You want to have a, a call to action for your course, which could include, like I said, your course specific opt-in invite and why that's going to help them. It could include a student showcase where you're highlighting the student who's done something brilliant with your course. It could include a sneak peek from a module of your course, as long as it ties into whatever it is that you're talking about in that newsletter. So there are so many ways for your audience to, and this is a great strategy to use if you are building up a wait list for, say, your open cart, closed cart launch as well. Another example, like I said, for a sales sequence, which is tailored to where your audience is in their journey, is that of triggered upsells or cross sells. Now, let's say, going back to what you said, like when a course creator says, I have this other course, now maybe, let's include it as a bonus. Question is it going to help them? If it's not going to help them, either take that next step, or if it's not going to help them do more with the course that you're selling them, then that shouldn't be a bonus. Then that can be a separate course that they may be ready for once they're done this existing course. So let's say you sell a course on, let's go with, gardening, for example, right? And you want that your course is about growing your own herbs and kitchen windowsill, so indoor gardening for like apartment dwellers. Now, after they've done this course, let's say you may have another course that's about taking that next step and using like a small plot of land, or being more adventurous with flowers, or if you just want to focus on apartment dwellers, right? So they don't have that piece of land, but they still have room in their apartments. And how could they grow flowers in boxes? So box gardening. And how about when they're about, say, 50% through the course, you start seeding the idea that, hey, you're doing great. Would you want to continue to learn more about, say, A, B, or C, and then have these triggered funnels that would start. So at 75%, when they've completed the course, 75%, you could have another email go out to them that you're getting really close to the finish line, and I have something really exciting coming up for you. If you're ready to keep going, here's where, just click here, and you then tag them as interested. If you're ready to just stay where you are, you're comfortable, you want to just go with herb gardening for now, that's okay too. So you just kind of, so 75%, 85%, and then maybe at 100%, you could then have hey, here's your invitation to join us for this next course. And because you're an existing student, you say you get a student scholarship of, say, $100 on the course price, et cetera, et cetera. So those are very tailored, very thought out upsells and cross sells, instead of just let's just keep selling to them because once a person buys from you, once a person buys from you, they're way more likely to convert. But then imagine the increase in conversions when that comes from a way more intentional place rather than a random, let's put everyone through their sales sequence, because that's what we're supposed to do.
Okay, love this, because it turns this old model of let's get your big ass signature course out there and typical funnel, right, and sell them for this higher price point, versus what I'm hearing from you is starting from this lower price point and then selling them from there and keeping the journey going, right? And then
absolutely.
Absolutely.
You could even do it with the higher end courses, let's say you have I'll give you, let's say you have a course that helps people to set, and it's a signature course, maybe it's like a $2,000, $3,000 course, and it helps people to set up their business, sell their first product, start seeing that, those first $5,000, $7,000 come in. Now, once they're done with that course, or once they're closer to the completion of the course, wouldn't they need your support? If you are equipped to offer it, wouldn't they need your support with being able to not just scale, but also sustain this growth? Or for example, if you sell I'll give you another example. With a client, they have a fairly robust course on making your own hair care products from scratch, right? Now, once they're, and we are actually using this triggered upsell sequence for them is also, once their students are completing that, we invite them to join them in their membership site where it's ongoing education. Yeah. So
they'll need that. They're looking for that, right? And that's what you're talking about, meeting them where they are, right?
Exactly.
And that's again, like that's focused in that stage of the game, instead of you just like putting your suite of courses together and saying, here's what's next. It's like, instead of really focusing on where they are, right? So exactly. I love that. You can make your own hair products. That's sidebar.
Oh yes, I know. Imagine that. You can make your own bubble bath as well. Like the things I learned.
Oh, I need that actually. If you could send me that link, Tristan would love that.
Absolutely.
So, okay, we'll have to talk offline about that. Love this. Love it all. Meeting your potential student where they are, or your student, right? And this is foundational marketing too. And I'm always talking to my students, right, about seeding the next step and being thoughtful about it, and then creating that journey, right? And from the get-go. I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. We need that. I did want to ask you, because I've got you here, Prerna. When it's an interesting environment right now, and there's a lot going on, right? Politically, culturally, it's grocery prices are up, gas rate, like it's just an interesting time. Do you pivot? Do you adapt in any way? Do you tell your clients to adapt or pivot in any way when, I guess it's always interesting times is the things, right? So what do you got to say to that?
So we did have clients, quote unquote, pivot when the pandemic hit, a couple of years ago, and it was absolutely needed and relevant. And I'm a huge fan of both relevancy and recency in your messaging. So that is, so yes, you do want those evergreen funnels running on autopilot, but at the same time, you want to keep an eye on whether that messaging is relevant or recent. So if you find that technically, if your messaging is focused on coming from a place of service while also selling, you should never have a problem. But sometimes you may have references that are not appropriate, or you may have a mechanism in place that may feel a little harsh in the current scenario. Like I was talking about, like capping access at say 6 months. You have 6 months to complete this program. It may have worked in the past when that is what people would be committed to focusing their energies on. But right now, when there's so much of stress in their personal lives and there's so much of emotional upheaval as well, giving them that room and that safety to be able to say like, hey, you can still continue to grow and learn and acquire the skills you need, and you can do it at your own time. So maybe you have one of those quick win courses that doesn't really need lifetime access, but it could benefit from, say, 12 months access instead of, say, 6 or 3 months or whatever may be the case. Or it could be, we're going to add more support calls, or have more, or bring in, bring on board a mindset coach, so just kind of thinking about what your audience needs from you is way better. And then layering that to what you have is way better than like pivoting your entire business model. Like,
I love that. To do that. Yeah. I love what you said about mindset coach, or saying like, what else do my people need right now?
And
how can I, and like you said at the beginning, be of service.
Exactly.
What's the next layer I need to do to truly be of service right now in these special circumstances, right? And extended.
Absolutely.
Okay, I love that. That's genius. Love it. I've already gone over time. I was like, Prerna, when are we going to keep it to this? And we are clearly over time, because I could talk to you for days. Tell everyone where they can learn more about Content Bistro and your work, please.
Thank you so much. It's always fun to chat with you. And I could totally talk about this forever.
I know, we can talk for hours. Yeah. I know. We need a series. Next time it's a series. It's a 5-part series. Okay.
We should totally do that.
All right. Where can we learn more?
Well, thank you. I would love for you to connect with us either on our website, contentbistro.com. We send out weekly emails all about copywriting, growing your business, and scaling without the burnout, or as I
Yes.
like to call it, sustainable scale. Or connect with me on Instagram. Again, that's at Content Bistro. So yeah, either one of the places. If you're listening to this, take a screenshot and share it with me. I would love to see what you take away from this.
Yes. Great idea. Yes. And you have to follow Perna on Content Bistro. Your Instagram is so spot on. And of course,
Thank you.
opt in for the emails. Thanks again. I know you're a busy lady. Thanks again for coming by.
Thank you so much again, Gina, for inviting me. This was so much fun.